Alright folks, so in today's video we're going to take a look at my 10th gen Core i5 10400. I'm going to compare it to my Ryzen 9 3900X and my Intel 9th gen i9 9700F. So in this video you will notice that for the most part we stay consistent. Some things are not consistent. Obviously can't use the same motherboard across the table, but I can use the same graphics card. So we use the RTX 2070 Super a lot in this video and a few other video cards. Now RAM speed and RAM quantity, I could have done these the same, but I wanted to change that up a little, and so it makes you wonder, faster RAM, bigger quantity RAM, could you actually make an i5 10400 better than the Ryzen 9? Now we had a minimum of 16 gigs of RAM and up to 32 gigs during the video, and the speeds were 2666, 3000, and 3200. So in the first one we're going to look at World War Z benchmark, then we'll look at some Fortnite and some other games. But in the benchmark, you know, I at times have to question the results, whether the software is that good or not. Doing this is another story, but this one starts off with the i7 9700F being the overall best in this category. Then the i5 10400 is second with 152 FPS. Followed by the Ryzen 9, which has 149 FPS. Alright, so in the benchmark you will see that we have the i5 10400 has the 3200 megahertz, the Ryzen 9 has 2666, and the i7 has 3000. You've already heard who won without the screen recorder, and it's going to basically work its way to be the same. The i7 is going to win, followed by a close second place, but the i5 is second. Now we'll transition into Fortnite, and I've really sped this up. We got the magnifying glass on the average FPS, and in this one the Ryzen 9 actually has 3200 megahertz RAM, 16 gigs. The i7 has 3000. And then the i5 10400 also 3200 megahertz RAM. Now playstyle was about the same. Not the best in the world, obviously, but like I've said a few times in my videos, sometimes I finish first and sometimes I finish last. But yeah, clearly you can see that the Ryzen 9 is going to win this. And it looks like the i5 for second place. Now the settings for Fortnite, I need to add those to the screen so you can see what they were. Alright, so Ryzen 9 first, i5 10400 second, and then the i7 9700F. So if I remember correctly, these were 1080p competitive, textures high. And if we look at it real quick,
Ryzen 9 is right around 317 FPS. The i5 is at about 280, and the i7 9700F is at 244. And at this point, it is streaming. But there you go for Fortnite. Now CS:GO, which I'm not very good at this one. Usually get killed all the time. But in this case, the i5 has a 3200 megahertz RAM, i7 has 3000, and then the Ryzen 9 has the 2666 megahertz RAM. And so far, it looks like the i7 is leading this. Now, of course, to make a better experiment, I would need to do at least 3 of each of these and then average that out. That would be a little more accurate than what you're seeing here. But this gives you a little idea that in some games these processors are a little more evenly matched than in others. And also depending on your hardware, what you might expect. Now all these have some kind of solid state drive. I tend to favor Samsung, so the operating system is always a Samsung drive, whether it's a EVO 970, 970 Plus, 960 Pro, 960, or PM 981 or PM 961. Those are the drives I primarily use. Right, so let's see where we are here. FPS wise, it looks like the i5 and the i7 are neck and neck. So one thing I've kind of been wondering, you know, with the i7 9700F, if you're out shopping for that, you might want to just buy the i5 10400 or for that matter the 10500 or 10600, which would probably be 10600 would probably be right there in the same ballpark as the i7 9700F. All right, so once again, the i7 and the i5 are neck and neck. The Ryzen 9 is starting to creep up. Maybe a little too late though. And now I'd say the gameplay for that one was all pretty much the same, you know, not very spectacular. Now we've got another Fortnite video. This is using a RX 550 for a graphics card, which is pretty weak. And this is only going to pit the i5 and the Ryzen 9 together. I believe this was competitive settings. I'll have to go back and put that on the video itself so you can see that. But, you know, in the very beginning here, these guys are, the Ryzen 9 is actually not doing so hot. And I've kind of wondered why the Ryzen 9 didn't do as good with this RX 550. Because I also did a video that you'll see for Epic, and Ryzen 9 lost that one. And honestly, it looks like it's going to lose this battle too. Yeah, so far we got 80, 81-ish for the i5, and the Ryzen 9's around 70. Which is quite a difference. Now, RAM-wise, once again, you've got RAM probably making the difference here. The Ryzen 9 has the 16 gigs of 2666 megahertz, and the i5 has 32 gigs of 32,000. If you check out the benchmarks on those, there's a big difference there benchmark-wise. And that would appear to actually make up the difference in this game. So yeah, in a lot of these games, I try and do the same thing. starting place, and it gives you a little more consistent results when comparing these. The enemies do about the same thing. So the i5-10400 is still in the lead. Now eventually I will do a more fair comparison of these two where I actually use the same exact amount of RAM, and we'll rerun these videos. But I just wanted to show you that, yeah, you could actually make an i5-10400 competitive with the Ryzen 9 by using better gear. As big of a beast as the Ryzen 9 is, it's not doing so hot in this one. But you saw earlier, paired with good RAM, how well it did. This is where I get killed. I make a stupid mistake here. No, I get that one. I'm looking at the Ryzen 9. Okay, so at this point the i5 has an insurmountable lead on the Ryzen 9. And so we'll just wrap this portion of the video up. Now Fortnite obviously doesn't require a lot of RAM, but it will perform ever so slightly better with more RAM, and definitely with faster speed RAM. I didn't realize that until I made this video, that it could be a big difference. And of course, some graphics cards work better with other CPUs, but in this case, there you go. So that's the end of that video. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe.